Okay, so we're going to look at Sara Penhagen of Center Valley Animal Rescue's deposition. We're going to look at some extraordinary fibs and seemingly flat-out lies. By now, you've probably seen the chronology. If not, go to Michael Almain, casechronology.blogspot.com. And you see that there's lots of emails from Sara Penhagen to Officer Wendy Davis and Deputy Eric Allen, and, well, people that she says they're not. Anyway, so let's read some of this. This was taken April 23rd, 2021. Okay. We're going to start down in here. Okay. So when did she become aware of Moses? Moses was at the Humane Society of Jefferson County back in November of 2020. That's when she became aware. Miss Penhagen said that the Humane Society staff was in contact with her and that they were concerned for the dog's welfare. Okay, she had mostly communicated with Devin. So the dog was there one night, and it sounds like the Humane Society employee, Devin, who actually testified in the case, and I think they thought was going to testify for Michael, but seemingly testified against Michael. So the person at the Humane Society contacted Sevar and got him involved, and then she was also talking to Wendy about it. So between Officer Wendy Davis and Devin at the Humane Society, they decided to bring Sara in on it. We also know she was in on it all along. Okay, so Mr. Jacob asked if she was referring to Devin Carney, and Miss Sevar said she does not know Devin's last name. She said that Devin is a licensed veterinarian technician and that she was very concerned that the Humane Society was not going to be able to provide the care that he was going to need. Mr. Jacob asked when Moses had been to the Humane Society in 2019 when Miss Penhagen interacted with him the first time. She said that she did not remember the exact dates. Of course she does, right? She sent letters to everybody. But that Moses was only at the Humane Society for about 3 days after being at Sevar for 3 weeks, right, illegally. Mr. Jacobs then asked Miss Penhagen if she saw Moses or his owner between the first incident in 2019 and the most recent, which occurred in 2020, November 2020. She replied that she had not, but that many people from the public called Sevar about animal cruelty complaints and that she forwarded them to the city's police or the sheriff, right? Why in the world would they do that, right? Unless they were already her people that were already involved in the thread. You'd never see a dog in Port Townsend and call a rescue center that you've never heard of in Quilcene. Okay, so she forwarded them to the city police. So we have those emails. Miss Penhagen responded that she had numerous calls from the public and from tourists between 2019 and 2020 incident. Okay, so as I just said, that's impossible, right? There's just no way a tourist would call Center Valley Animal Rescue in Quilcene, Washington, if there was an issue with an animal in Port Townsend, Washington. Okay, they would call the police. If they knew a local vet, maybe they'd call the vet, but they certainly would not call Sara. She's flat out lying. She's not a very good liar. She obviously put these people up to it. Okay, so Mr. Jacob asked if there were calls specifically about Moses. Miss Penhagen responded that she had numerous calls, tourists. Okay, then she said about an animal that appeared to sound like Moses. Tricky, right? Okay, she said she didn't know if that's who it was and referred them to the Port Townsend Police Department to report animal cruelty. All right, so some tourist sees the dog, they report it to her, she reports animal cruelty. Right? There's no reason for Moses to have been at Center Valley Animal Rescue. I'm sure you all know that by now. Okay, if that's what they believed they were seeing. Oh, so then she throws in if they believe they were seeing animal cruelty. Mr. Jacob asked how many of those calls she received, and she said she did not record how many. If she had to guess, she'd say at least half a dozen from different people. She said there was one person she knows personally who called and does not live in the area year-round, so did not know about the May 2019 incident. Everybody she knows knew about it, and she did fundraisers on it. She said that the woman called and was upset at what she'd seen with the dog, and Miss Penhagen said from her description it sounded like Moses. What a bunch of gibberish, right? Mr. Jacob asked if she forwarded those reports to the police. Sara said she did not forward them, but asked the people calling to forward them. She said there may have been one where an individual sent photographs, and if they did, she would have sent those to the city. Okay, keep in mind, folks, you can see from the record that she talked with Officer Wendy Davis about every single reporting person, and she herself also gave accounts from the reporting persons. Okay, so Mr. Jacob asked Sara if she'd ever been in contact with Mr. Almain. She said she had no personal contact with him. She said she had sent information about billing from CVAR, and that was it. She said that the bill may have come from her or from her lawyers, but she couldn't remember. Okay, the bill was before she got the lawyer, and she threatened to take Michael's dog. And then she threatened to take his dog, well, several times after, too. But $9,000 she charged him for those first 3 weeks. Okay, keep in mind the email, I think it was from Andy Pernsteiner or Mark Apland, the deputy at the sheriff's office, that the bill was $2,000 and $1,000 of that was donated by the woman who found him. And the sheriff's department was going to pay the other $1,000. Then the next day, all of a sudden, it turned to $9,000. They sued Michael for that and another $18,000, and they won. And they auctioned off his dog and got the lien. Okay, to their own unjust enrichment. Okay, so she said she sent information about billing. Okay. All she knew was that the sheriff was what the sheriff's office told her. And so she was aware that he had been living out of a vehicle. Okay, so the sheriff's office can just tell a nonprofit where you're living or what you're up to. You don't seem to have any privacy. Okay, she said some of the reports made to her by members of the public mentioned that Mr. Almain was panhandling with the dog, and that's why they saw him. She added that if someone does not have any means to take care of an animal that's needed medical care, that's a concern. Mr. Jacob asked what kind of services are available for low-income pets, and Sara said there are many options out there that people can go for food. Yeah, and Moses always had plenty of food. Keep in mind, folks, watch the witnesses, the vets. He had an allergy that was incurable. He had healthy gums. He had food. Okay, back to the deposition. She said CVAR has a pet food bank, but they also supply pet food for the local food banks. The dog wasn't in need of food. I'm saying that, but okay. Mr. Jacob asked if Miss Penhagen or any employees from CVAR had ever offered food or medical assistance to Mr. Almain to help his dog. She said she did not recall, but that it wouldn't be something they would have records of. If so, we have records of it. She didn't. She said they always have the food banks available, and that there is no one they refuse giving pet food to. Mr. Jacob asked if anyone from CVAR reached out to Mr. Almain after the 2019 incident. At all. She said that she did not recall anyone reaching out to him other than to bill him. Right, so she didn't reach out to help him, but she stalked him and she sent people to stalk him, as you can clearly see from the record. Again, that's at michaelalmain, casechronology.blogspot.com. Mr. Jacob asked if CVAR is a registered nonprofit. Ms. Penhagen said they are, and they have a nonprofit board. Mr. Jacob asked how operational costs at CVAR are covered. Ms. Penhagen said that operational costs are covered by donations. She did fundraisers based on lying that Michael Almain had drugged his dog. She did fundraising to her own unjust enrichment. Okay. Mr. Jacob asked how much of their financials are covered by restitution or direct billing individuals. Ms. Penhagen said they have received restitution or direct billing of individuals. See that, folks? So they can get these clients by force through a local law enforcement, and then they get criminal restitution, or they can bill the client, even though the client doesn't have a contract with them. So they have motive to take these animals. Okay, Ms. Penhagen said they had received restitution in Lewis County. She said they don't have fees for spay or neuter or vaccines. She said they serve homeless individuals, and explained that one woman with 15 cats needed all her cats vaccinated, and CVAR did all 15 without billing her because she did not have money. So is this the homeless woman that has 15 cats? Because I don't think that's a thing. I don't think that it would be, I mean, being homeless with one cat, maybe two. That sounds a little crazy to me. Mr. Jacob asked if CVAR had a program to assist low-income individuals with medical care. Sara said they do not have a program for that, but that there are programs. Okay, so keep in mind, she didn't offer him a payment plan. She didn't offer to help him. She just wanted to take the dog. Okay, plus she told the city in emails to Officer Wendy Davis that they would take care of the costs. Told the public they'd take care of the costs. Then sued Michael in court and won the costs. Okay, Mr. Jacob asked how CVAR covers the cost of emergency medical care for animals. Sara said that comes out of their general budget. For emergencies, they treat the animal and do whatever they are going to need, regardless of whether they have funds to cover it. Mr. Jacob asked if Ms. Penhagen or anyone from CVAR had communicated to the city or the county that CVAR would cover the cost of medical care for Moses should he be brought here. Ms. Penhagen said that she did not communicate that they would be able to cover the costs or authorize the funds for that. Okay, now this is page 4 of 8 of the deposition, and there'll also be a link for you to read these yourself, so that you can put it right beside the emails where she emailed Officer Wendy Davis and said that if the city couldn't cover it, that CVAR could cover it, and then sued Michael for those costs. Okay, if you haven't seen that video and you're doing research on this case, or you haven't seen that email, email me at reverendcrystalcox@gmail.com. I wanted to show you that again. Asks how, okay, that's for the medical. Okay, Nat Jacobs, so Michael's public defender, asked Sara Penhagen of CVAR if anyone from CVAR had ever communicated to the city or the county that CVAR would cover the cost of medical care for Moses should he be brought there. Miss Penhagen said that she did not communicate that they would be able to cover the costs or authorize the funds for that. Okay? Now, put that right beside the email where she sent Officer Wendy Davis that she would be able to take care of it, and there'd be no problem. She'd run it by the board, but she knew there'd be no problem. And she also got money, donations from the public. She got grants, all kinds of bait and switch. But at any rate, that's a flat-out lie. Okay. Mr. Jacob asked if Sara or anyone from CVAR ever communicated with the city or the county that Center Valley Animal Rescue would cover the cost of medical care for Moses should he be brought there. Ms. Penhagen said that she did not communicate that they would be able to cover the costs or authorize the funds for that. She said they did not discuss Moses in between when it was at CVAR in 2019 and when it was brought there in November 20. I guess Sara Penhagen has never heard of Freedom of Information. She says that she did not discuss Moses in between when he was at CVAR in 2019 and when he came back. She discussed it with everybody in town. Okay? Michael Allmain, casechronology.blogspot.com. Yeah, there's probably even more emails that I have to either add to that or just, they're just, oh my gosh, right? I just can't imagine being able to lie like this, right? Wow. Okay, so she did not discuss it. Okay. Mr. Jacob asked if she discussed with city or county employees between May of 2019 and November of 2020. Ms. Penhagen said she did not discuss Moses with any city or county employee during that time and that she did not recollect talking to the law enforcement about it. Oh, isn't this hysterical, guys? I mean, she doesn't recollect. Well, I guess let's refresh your memory, okay? Check out the chronology page, michaelomancasechronology.blogspot.com, and really kind of just Google any of it, and you'll see these emails to refresh everybody's memory on CVAR. I just have to read this again. This is hysterical. Okay. So, Mr. Jacob asked if Miss Penhagen discussed Moses with city or county employees, and we all know she did both, between May of 2019 and November 2020. Miss Penhagen said she did not discuss Moses with any city or county employee during that time, and that she did not recollect talking to law enforcement about Moses and covering the costs of medical care, because she had no idea what he needed at that point. But she did. This is a lie. Mr. Jacob asked if Sara offered to cover the cost of Moses' medical care to the city or county law enforcement, and she said she never offered anything like that to law enforcement. Flat out lie. We've seen the emails. Mr. Jacob then asked if Miss Penhagen was in communication with the animal control officer, and she said, oh, well, that's difficult because it used to be this person, and then it used to be Terry, and then... Oh, she's just all over the map, right? And now it's Eric. In between that time, she said she would speak with whichever officer called her and asked for assistance on the case. Keep in mind, folks, as you know, none of the officers ever called her for assistance. She badgered them and contacted them constantly, and they didn't seem to be able to shut her up. She was in contact with them all. Now, Eric and her were in contact a lot, and I allege that Deputy Eric Allen, the animal control officer, who had just went to school in March of 2020, so like 6 months before that. So him and Wendy and Sara all conspired to steal Michael's dog, I allege. Okay, Mr. Jacob asked if Miss Penhagen spoke with the city's community safety officer, Wendy Davis, during the time between 2019 incident and the 2020 incident. Okay, Miss Penhagen said that her only dealing with Wendy was when Wendy came out on a horse rescue with her to Clearwater. Okay, we know from the chronology that that's a lie, right? She was in nonstop contact with Officer Wendy Davis from July of 2019. When the deputies finally said, hey, it's a city thing, so call the city. Okay, because she kept calling the deputies or emailing the police about it. I don't even know about calls. We can't get Zoom calls, and we can't get phone calls. So who knows how many of those she did. Miss Penhagen said that her only dealing with Wendy was when they came out on the horse rescue. Mr. Jacob asked if Miss Penhagen had email communications with Miss Davis. Miss Penhagen said she did not recollect having any, but she emails a lot of people. Okay, well, we'll refresh her memory on that, right? Check out the chronology. Okay, Mr. Jacob asked Sara what day she received Moses at CVAR during the most recent incident. She said it was November 2020. Okay, and how did that happen? She said that Moses had been picked up as a stray the day before and had been taken to the Humane Society. The vet and staff said to transfer to CVAR. Wendy Davis contacted CVAR and asked if they would be willing to take him and provide the care needed. Sara said she'd let Wendy know that if they needed anything in writing before he was able to take to CVAR. Then she obtained that information in writing from Wendy and CVAR and then took custody. How was he transported? Okay, her husband came to pick her up. The other, why not go to the other ones? Because they couldn't have 24-hour care. So he had an allergy, he had an ear thing and dental thing. He didn't need 24-hour care. Okay. Page 6. Mr. Jacob asked if Sara knew at the time that Moses would need 24-hour care. She said she had no idea what was going on to take the time because she didn't have a chance to examine him. So you see how he tripped her up there? She didn't even know if the dog needed 24-hour care, but she's like, well, he needed 24-hour care, so they brought him here. But she just said he didn't know if they needed 24-hour care. On, what was that? Page 5, right? It says the other vets do not have 24-hour care. So that's why they wanted Moses to go there. On the very next sentence, she says she had no idea that it would need 24-hour care. See, this woman constantly lies. Okay, and she gets away with it because the Jefferson County law enforcement takes her word over everyone else. Okay, Mr. Jacob asked who provided the exam on Moses. Sara said that Dr. Christine Parker Graham provided the exam. Mr. Jacobs asked if the veterinarian who examined Moses was still volunteering with CVAR. Ms. Penhagen answered that Dr. Richard and Dr. Cuthbert were both still volunteering, but were unavailable. Okay, so all these volunteer vets with CVAR. Okay, it ended up in a $28,000 bill, keep in mind. And we have Dr. Christine Graham saying under oath that she was a volunteer. But we have invoices she sent that were put in the lien where he was sued for $28,000 and sent to Superior Court. We also have invoices that Dr. Christine Parker Graham sent to Officer Wendy Davis. So apparently she's not a volunteer. Okay, bait and switch. Okay, Ms. Penhagen answered that then she said Dr. Nathan was on leave. Okay. Mr. Jacob asked if Sara assisted as the vet tech during the exam that took place on the 24th. She said that she did. Mr. Jacob asked if she wrote a report from that exam. Sara said that she did. Mr. Jacob asked if that included a diagnosis, and she said she would have to look at the statement, but that she probably would have put a diagnosis in there because there was a vet there to make that diagnosis. Right, so that was very tricky, right? Okay, Mr. Jacob asked if Sara assisted. Okay, we got that. Okay, then asked Sara to take a look at her statement, and he brought it up on Zoom screen for all participants to see. Mr. Jacob asked Ms. Penhagen to read the last paragraph and then asked if her statement in that paragraph was objective. She said that the paragraph was talking about Moses' current condition and that they were things anyone could have noticed just by observing him. Mr. Jacob said if her notation that Moses was neglected through starvation was objective. Sara said that the statement was based on how hungry he was when he was offered food. Okay, so I've seen dogs my entire life, right, that would ravish a dish every time you put it down. You could feed it many times a day. Like the wiener dogs, they'll eat all day, every day, right? So that is a ridiculous way to diagnose. That's too funny. Okay, so we based that him being neglected and starving on that he was offered food and that he ravished it. How crazy does that sound? Okay, Miss Penhagen responded that was noted by looking at his teeth, but that any trained person would be able to tell that he was suffering from dental pain. Okay, he did need some dental work. His gums were healthy. Listen to the vet testimony. So this is all ridiculous. Okay, skin and ear infection. Okay, so this is something that needed 24-hour care and a reason to steal someone's dog. Sara said that she'd been working with the veterinarian during the exam. She said that the darkening and the thickening of the skin showed chronic infection. Okay, keep in mind the vet testified that could be part of an allergy and it's chronic. Okay, the hot spots are chronic, the same thing. Okay, Mr. Jacob asked if Ms. Penhagen or any employee of CVAR had given Mr. Almain information on how to care for Moses' condition. After the 2019 incident, Sara said he was given a written document with what needed for care and bandages. She said the paperwork would have been given to him by the Humane Society and that while she did not give it to him, she was told it was given to him. Okay, more hearsay, right? If anybody at CVAR had offered medical care. Nope, they had not. Mr. Allman was given time to surrender the dog. Okay, he was also given notice he could surrender in lieu of payment for the medical bills they were charging him. Okay, remember that we had the deputy say the medical bills went from $2,000 to $9,000 overnight, and $1,000 had already been donated. Okay, and she wanted this. She wanted the $9,000 fees, and you can see in the different emails she said, well, what kind of, bill would deter him, because she wanted the dog. Okay. He was given a notice he could surrender the dog in lieu of payment for the medical bills they were charging him. And remember, folks, he also was at Center Valley Animal Rescue illegally those first 3 weeks. She kept him illegally, did medical procedures on him without consent, wouldn't let him see his dog. Okay, and the police enabled her to do that. Okay, Mr. Jacob asked Miss Penhagen if Mr. Almain had brought Moses to Sevar, if they would have provided medical care. She replied that they did not give him the option for Sevar to provide medical care unless he surrendered Moses. So no medical care. Did not give him the option for medical care, okay, unless he surrendered Moses. And she testified to that at trial too. Okay. I asked Miss Penhagen if Sevar plans to do any operations or medical procedures on Moses. She said that he will need further care, skin and ear, and that he has ear infection that he has to be sedated for. Folks, keep in mind, he only has to be sedated when he's with Sara, because she's so cruel. The Humane Society noted he didn't need to be sedated when he's with his human, and that the technique she was using, she didn't need to keep sedating him, okay? She also said that if Sevar gets ownership of Moses, they will be neutering him. Okay, keep in mind, folks, just on a non-emotional, his puppies are worth $1,000 each, 1 to 3,000. He can have 7 in a batch. Okay, he's 50% timber wolf. Okay, they deprived him of that value too, and of having a pup, because he loved his dog so much. He wanted one of his puppies as he got older in life. So, okay, Mr. Jacob asked if Moses can now handle for exams without needing sedation or anesthesia. Sara said he needed sedation for every exam and is still very nervous. See that, folks? Nurse Ratchet here keeps this dog and constantly sedates him, okay? Constantly puts his life in danger and puts him under to treat him, okay? When he didn't need that with his owner, his pack leader, okay? These people let this woman inflict animal cruelty on this dog over and over and over. Let me show you that again. If he can now handle exams without sedation, and this is well into 2021, folks. Miss Penhagen said he needed sedation for every exam and is still very nervous. Of course, he doesn't want to be there. You're horrible to him. Mr. Jacob then asked if Moses had escaped from Sevar at any point since he was taken there November 24. Sara said that Moses has not left her property. Okay, we have record in the chronology that he's escaped many times. Okay, that he was there last Sunday and that she was there too. Mr. Jacob finished the interview by informing Miss Penhagen and her lawyer, Mr. Karp, that he intended to have a veterinary exam on Moses and asked for the benefit of the dog's health. It could be done at Sevar's property. A discussion followed about the logistics of that, in which Mr. Karp questioned whether the judge would allow for that to happen, as if he cares about that, right? The judge had already released. Okay, guys, we need to look at this again. You see this, April 23rd? The judge had already released Moses to Michael. Center Valley Animal Rescue was defying a court order. Yet Adam Karp's like, oh, well, the judge questioned whether the judge, let me see, where is that? Adam Karp questioned whether the judge would allow for that to happen. Okay? They're defying a court order by having the dog. And they're saying the judge doesn't have nothing to do with the dog at this point, which she also says at the 8/12 hearing. Check that out. The question whether the examination would take place and what circumstance was left up in the air. Karp promised Jacob to provide Sevar's records for the care. All right, and that he would, and the examination would be held at their property. Okay, so Moses has never escaped. Oh, anyway, check out Michael Almain, casechronology.blogspot.com. Okay, And keep in mind all these flat-out lies. Also, check out CinderValleyAnimalRescue.blogspot.com, OfficerWendyDavis.blogspot.com,